I have some South African and European clients, so I do enjoy the early mornings. I'm not an evening person, but I love the mornings, especially now in the spring here in Colorado. Although we had snow this morning, so much for spring. But yeah, I do enjoy the mornings. Hey, Johan, I'll say hi to you because I know you very well.
Hey, Curtis, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Hey, Brad. How do I pronounce your name? Gascoigne? Is that right?
Hello, Gus. That's right.
Perfect. Perfect. Who's Afrikaans on the call? I know that Daniel has to be Afrikaans. There we go. Yeah.
I'm also Afrikaans. Johan, you're probably Afrikaans as well.
Ek is 'n Soutie. Jammer.
Soutie in disguise.
That was one of the anomalies when I first met Johan ages ago. It's like, okay, I'm going to meet this guy, Johan de Beck. So the double N behind his name was kind of a confusion, but when I met him and I spoke Afrikaans and he responded in English, I'm like, okay, right, yeah. So the double N is definitely the giveaway for sure.
Not something I'm proud of, but it's unfortunately true.
That's okay, Johan. We won't hold it against you. You're good.
Yeah.
I can
As
share with
long
the
as
rest
you
of all of you that Johan was in the US here with me. Well, not with me. He came to a conference in Colorado Springs, but we met up briefly, and he decided to take the Manitou Incline. Now, for those of you that don't know, you can Google it, but it's more than 2,000 steps up, as they call it, America's Mountain. So it's one of the 7 or 8 14,000 feet and higher mountains we have here. And he did it on the second try without even breaking a sweat. So I was put to shame because I'm busy training to go up the mountain, but he just did it as if it was a morning run before breakfast. So I was very impressed. All right, Trevor. I can't see you, but can I hear you? Oh, there's a lot of other people. Hey, Pauline, I know you very well.
Hello, hello. I'm just muting myself because I've got kids running in the background, but I'm
Oh,
here.
that's okay.
No worries.
Hello, Espia, with a last name like Van der Merwe, you're probably Afrikaans as well, right?
Yes, ja, verseker.
Seker. Okay, gotcha.
Just a spoiler, guys. Brett is the most Afrikaans person you'll get.
Oh, really? Okay. So is Matheson an undercover last name, I guess?
I've only dated in the Afrikaans community, and I've played plenty of rugby against the Afrikaans community, which I've loved as well.
There you go. There you go. Well, if you played rugby against the Afrikaans guys, then you're considered one of us, Brett, for sure.
Yeah. I've had plenty of runaway as well to turn myself
There you
back.
Yeah. So you joined the dark side of the force. I get it, Brett, for sure.
Cool. Guys, I don't know if you want to give it a minute or two more. There is a couple
Sure.
of people that still need to join.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe give it about 2 minutes still.
Absolutely.
So, Evan, while we wait, I'll just pop my a link to the USA book that we've launched or that we're busy launching, so people can have a squiz and see what we're up to there.
Go for it.
Winning the away game. I really enjoyed my invitation to.
Yeah. So here's the this is the UK one that we did.
Okay. I will be sure to procure a copy for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that did Justinus have quite a big input there, or is it mostly from your side, Daniel?
No. It was in the UK book. Not we dragged him into the book. So, but he'll definitely in the USA book. He promised me he'll.
Nice. Although
so,
he lives in Canada, yeah, he's he tells me that how many times a year he skis. So I'm not a skier, but yeah, he lives in the right place to be skiing for sure. All right, I think, Ewan, let's get going. Anybody else joining, we can still go from there. So how would you want to do this, Ewan? Do you want to hop in, or shall I hop in, or how do we do this?
I think you can go ahead, give a bit of context as to what your webinar is about, and then
All right.
you can kick it off.
Yes, I don't use Google Meets that often, but I'm going to try and share my screen, and hopefully everybody can see it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, that's great. Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for giving me some of your time during your busy schedule. And thank you to Ewan and the LACA Network Group for setting this up. I appreciate that. So I'm just going to set the tone for what we're going to discuss here today. So these are my thoughts. What is the disclaimer? It is not the thoughts of the US government and or any other affiliated company, etc. These are just my thoughts, and it's based on experience. I've been in the US now for a decade. We became citizens in February last year after 9 years of walking the immigration route. So my family and I are dual citizens of the US and of South Africa. The journey that I've been on has both been extremely enriching, totally humbling, and potentially the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I have tried quite a few crazy things in my career. Looking back at the last decade, I would do it again without a heartbeat. There are a few things I would do very differently, but that's a discussion for maybe a campfire. So what I wanted to share here today is just the sort of the commercial thoughts around planting your flag in the US if you're interested in it. It can be a very daunting process. I am very sure you're getting very conflicting messages as to how you should do it. And what I'm giving you is just how I went about it, what I would do differently, and certainly some thoughts that you can hopefully use as you consider your own presence in the US. What I'm also doing is I'm putting a link, a Calendly link in the chat for you. That is a link to a 30-minute chat. If you want that, you can just have a chat with me to tell me how wrong I am. Have a chat with me to tell me what your own experience is, or just ask questions and let's talk. This is a hard journey and a very lonely journey sometimes, and just to talk to folks is good. The other thing I have available is a free 2-hour revenue clarity workshop for the US. That is also free to all LACA Network members. So if you were interested in that, let's have a chat and we can also do the workshop. You will leave with some artifacts that hopefully would help you on your journey to the US, or maybe you're already here and you just need additional encouragement or information. Having said that, my door is always open. If you want to have a chat at any point, connect with me on LinkedIn, or let's just discuss anything from that perspective. All right, so a little about me. As I said, I've been here for a decade now. The third startup that I joined in my career, we founded in Technopark in Stellenbosch, called Journey Apps. And we started selling in Europe, in South Africa and Africa, and also in Australia. And in 2015, we received investment funding from Sandhill Road in San Francisco, or commonly known as Silicon Valley. And part of the terms of the investment was that the founding members needed to come to the US. So at the very young age of 44, I decided with my family that we were going to uplift ourselves out of Durbanville in the Western Cape and move to Colorado, right in the middle of the US. Lots of mountains, but no ocean and no vineyards. And we started our journey to sell in the US. I have been privileged in my career to have been able to sell in different countries on different continents. And so it's always fascinating for me to understand different cultures and how we transplant ourselves to make use of the opportunities in different world territories. I do want to share this little book series, The Go-Giver, with you. You can have a look at it on Amazon or whatever your local digital bookstore is. There's 3 books in the series, but the principles of The Go-Giver is really about how we should pay it forward to folks as we go through our journey, and of course those privileges will come back to us. And I'm a big exponent of the book of The Go-Giver. You will probably read it in a day. It's a very short book, but there's 3 of them. Just wanted to share that with you as well. And then today's commentary is not tax or legal or immigration advice. It's really just about lessons I've learned as I went through the journey, the last 10 years of establishing Journey Apps in the US. Right, we're going to have 6 notes and then some food for thought that I will leave with you. We're going to talk a little bit about legitimacy to trust gap, one market or not, competence and capability. We'll talk about proof points, and we'll talk about, in my view, what your first 3 steps should be if you consider planting your flag here in the US. Ewan was kind enough to share with me some of the questions that you raised as part of registering for this event. I did my best to incorporate some of those answers into the way I speak here today. But of course, if you have a question as we go along, just pop it in the chat and I will be able to answer that for you as well. Let's talk about legitimacy to start with. So in the US, legitimacy is going to be your biggest challenge way before sales or scale becomes a challenge. And I think we sometimes forget that when we come from a different territory. Something that I forgot when I got here, when I was selling in South Africa and selling in Australia and Europe, which became very familiar to me, there was a lot of things that I did naturally, but I didn't even think about it. But when you come to the US and you're remote, so I was fortunate enough to be here, but when you're remote, there's a few things that you sometimes forget that comes natural to you in your own territory, but you have to actually amplify when you do it remotely. And ultimately, I found that it's really not about your product. As founders, we are very precious about our products and services, and so we should be. If we're not proud and the biggest loudmouths about our products, then who would be? But the point is that the questions you'll get first off in the US is, why should they trust you? Please keep in mind that when you come and sell in the US, and it's not untrue in South Africa, it's not untrue in the UK, it's not untrue in Australia, but it's amplified here, that there would be 10 to 15 to 20 other people talking to the same prospect and saying exactly the same things. And so your work is really to figure out, when you have your conversations with your early prospects, is to let them understand why they should trust you. And I'm going to allude to this a little bit further in the presentation. But the reality is that they'll buy from you long before they buy from your company. And so the focus should be on create legitimacy around you. Create empathy and understanding around you so that they can understand that if they talk to you, if they give you time, it will be valuable for them, but they'll also build a relationship that is super important. And in this age of AI, I'm in the middle of doing an MBA AI, and I'm using a lot of AI tools in order to build the second startup I'm busy with here. And I'll give that free advice to folks as well, as to how you can use the tools to reach out to your persona talk to your persona and set meetings with your persona without you being involved. It is crucial that you figure out how you're going to use those tools. But in this world of AI, everything is crazy. Everybody with a tool is an expert. Everybody can write an email. Everybody can write a LinkedIn post. The question you need to figure out is why they need to talk to you. And that personal link is still critical and may well be for the next 18 months to 24 months, I think. If you haven't read the book, please do. The Lean Startup from Eric Ries. All founders read the book. We read Steve Blank, we read Eric Ries, right? And it's seminal work and it's done in the last century. And a lot of people forget about that. They think it's old and old school. There's a lot of stuff in there from a business development perspective that helps us in the space. Let's talk a bit about the trust gap because it goes on from legitimacy. So I've listed 5 things here for what trust looks like. I speak to a lot of founders coming from other world territories, not just South Africa. And their methodology is to come to a trade show, to walk around, to meet with a few people, and then they call these things leads. And now they have a conversation with people, and then they get ghosted, and then they're surprised, right? If you are going to invest in the US, I have some advice for you around scaling a sales team or not, et cetera, et cetera. But make some time to be here. Choose your partners in the country very carefully. And this whole notion of I'm hiring somebody with a Rolodex, or this person is going to introduce me to my first 20 clients. I've never seen that work. And I'm sure there are people that makes that work. And I'm sure there's people in this country that gives you that service. I've just never seen it work. The only person that is invested enough in your product, in your service, and invested enough to make it work in the US is you. An outsourced Rolodex or a salesperson is not going to cut it because they're mercenary. So get some time. Come and live with a friend. Keep your costs down. But get some time to be in the country, to learn about the territory that you're in, and to speak to people face to face. Yes, that still happens, right? You can make your connections on LinkedIn. But you do want to go into those communities, into the networks. You want to immerse yourself. You'll find a culture where people absorb you into those networks, no problem. But then they expect you to work because they pay it forward. You should pay it forward. The networks exist. The process exists. And the big confidence factor is they need to know that you will be here after you sell them something. And you have to have a story around that, and not an elaborate story. You don't have to have an office on Fifth Avenue in New York. They just need to know you're going to be here, and you need to explain to them what that means. The one market or not thing, I paid a heavy price by treating the US as one country. It isn't. It's 50 states. And there are amplified differences between southern states, northern states, West Coast and East Coast, in the way that you deal with people, in the way you speak, in the way they speak back to you, and the way that you build your trust. If you're going to go into Texas, you have to understand what it means for Texans to trust you. If you're going to go into maybe the northern states or New England, the same story. If you're going to be in the central states like Colorado, South Africa fits well here. You know, down on the ground, you know, people just want to deal with the facts. It works in that space. But the territories are important. And even more important is identifying your ICP, your ideal customer profile, your IBP, your ideal buyer profile, their willingness to pay per region, not per the country. Because if you spread yourself too thinly, you're going to have conversations that sounds like you're talking to your ICP, your ideal customer persona, but they may distract you. Having the true north, and this is a revenue generation truth, having the true north of your ideal customer persona and making sure you speak to them only. And if you speak to somebody else, it's fine, but don't let that information contaminate the data that you use as you go to product market fit. And by the way, you may have a very successful company in South Africa. You may have a very successful company in the UK. You still have to figure out product market fit in the US. What you've learned there doesn't mean it's going to work here. Your product market fit is going to look different. Give you an example. the company we brought across. We sold to financial services, we sold to healthcare, we sold to those industries in Africa, we sold to mines in Australia. When we got here, we found that financial services is not a market. There is no thing like an intermediary, like a broker. Only the rich people have brokers, I'm kidding. But you have intermediaries if you have portfolios that you need to measure. So everything's online. So my technology was useless. I had to find my product market fit, and I found it in industrials, oil and gas, chemicals, manufacturing, people that have highly trained engineers in the field in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, sorry, Gulf of America, et cetera, right? That was our new market, yes? So we needed to figure that out, and it took me 6 months to realize that. It's time you don't have. It's money that you don't want to spend. You need to pay attention to those things from the start, and the passion that you have for your product will get you there, because people want to hear from people that's passionate about what they have, and they want to hear the backstory. No salesperson can do that for you in the early days. The thing about competence and capability, when I came to the US, I've been selling in world territories and in South Africa for many decades, right? And you all know, right? You can pick up the phone if you want to call a meeting with somebody, you get the call. I mean, that's the level we're on when we founders and things like that, right? It doesn't work like that here, okay? If you're going to speak to a prospect, their assumption is going to be that you are capable and that you are competent, because there's just millions of them over here. You can kick a capable and competent person out from any bush 10 yards apart. Your job is not to tell them that your product's got better buttons, because somebody else will have those buttons tomorrow, right? You need to talk about your proof points. That's your mission. Proof, 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 proof. Your prospect will get 20 to 30 connects a day telling that prospect how great the solution is that those people have got. But it's completely devoid of proof. There's no proof. So if you want to say something like we have deep expertise or a leading provider or a comprehensive solution, you might as well not. It will not cut you through the noise. You need to speak in the language that your buyer will understand it. I put generic stuff up. We help buyers avoid expensive mistakes. What is the proof? And your test will be, is that the language they speak? Is that the outcome they're looking for? Do they want to avoid expensive mistakes? What is their business outcome that they are looking for? And how do you help them get there? And you need to spell it out. Don't assume they will interpret it. They won't. You have to spell out, if this is the business outcome that your prospect is looking for, this is how you get them there. So paint the picture for them what life would be like when you're done with them. And that is critical, because they're not going to spend time thinking through it. You have to tell them. That is the experience that I've learned the hard way. I came in here and I told the oil and gas folks in Texas that you should build your applications on my platform because it's got offline. Now, in those days, having an automatic offline engine in an application in the middle of nowhere, it was unique, but that wasn't the reason they bought it. It became table stakes. I needed to find out what is the reason, why do they need a custom application? And in the end, it turned out that they don't want to buy it off the shelf because their IP is in that. That's why they want to build it custom. And then they have to decide to build it on our platform or actually native, which is another fight altogether. So those subtleties matter, right? Your biggest feature in your platform may not be the reason that somebody buys from you in the US. And we'll talk a little bit about the proof points. And I always get people tell me, I don't have proof points in the US. And so you don't, because you're just starting out here. And that's perfectly fine. So use your proof points, rest of world, very carefully, and position them as value. So this is what we did for X company. They're not on your shores, but this is the value we add. And then you couple that with your credibility as the founder. Then they will talk to you. People aren't stupid, right? They don't expect you to have a mega operation in the US if you're building something innovative, if you can show them value, if you can have a return on investment conversation. But they do want to hear that. They want to hear they're not the first. If you are the first, this is a totally different conversation, because now we're going to go from zero to product market fit in a startup in the US. It's a different methodology, and I can speak about that maybe in a separate session. But be upfront, all right? But also remember, if you have a success in Australia or in China or in South Africa or in Europe or in London or in the UK, right? It only travels so far. Don't amplify the fact that it's in those world territories. Amplify the fact that those companies look the same as the companies in the US. Amplify the fact that you've added value to them, and amplify the fact that you did it. You're the man. They should speak to you. That's what they want to hear. And then you take that forward, right? So don't shy away from the fact that you don't have US references. That's perfectly okay. You just need to get a trust hook in there because they want to speak to you, and you want to use your past experience with a value narrative, not a, they bought these buttons for $20,000. It has to be a value narrative, and they have to understand what world would look like when you're done with them. That is critical. They don't do that thinking. They don't have time. It's not that American buyers are different. It's just they're inundated with an amplified level of people selling them stuff. And therefore, if you're deliberate, you have to be deliberate in the way you talk, in the language you use, so that your messages can be deliberate. And so I'll share this deck with anybody that needs it. I'll give it to you and you can send it to you guys. But the other thing that you need to look at is partners in your territory you're going into. Who in the US would be willing to speak on your behalf? That is a crucial thing you need to think through. You can go it alone and try and sell, and it will work. But if you can get some trusted authority in the US, now don't think resellers. Don't think I have to build a channel and give them a margin to sell my stuff. You don't know what they're selling yet because it's a new territory. Think networking. Think being absorbed into the right. They exist. It took me a decade to get into them, understand where they are. Go into the networks, ask for advice, ask for referrals. Take your time to be deliberate around those networks. Build your own network. Host a roundtable so that you start talking about the value that you bring without selling anybody anything. They'll come. Put those roundtables out on LinkedIn and on your social media. That's what people want to see. You're adding value without asking for anything in return to start with. That methodology works. But remember, if you say something, you have to be able to prove it. I want to add a few things about your first 3 steps. Now, I mean, this is not a lecture or anything. It doesn't have to be these steps, right? But it just amplifies the thinking that you may want to adopt if you look into the US, because this place can be lucrative, but it can eat you up for breakfast. All your saved money. Choose your beachhead. Be very, very specific and don't have FOMO, fear of missing out, right? Ooh, if I go to the entire country, I can scale my sales by 10x. You can't scale what you haven't figured out yet. So don't have FOMO. Pick a beachhead, one segment, one buyer type, one problem, one geography, and go after it. Get conversations and learn what they tell you. Why do they buy from you? Ultimately, if you want to scale your company in the US, you have to be able to be woken up in the middle of the night. And if somebody asks you, why does your customer buy from you? You'll have to be able to give them a 3-sentence paragraph, succinctly. Not you think, not it's like this. They said this is why they buy from you. If you have that, you can scale. So really, really critical. Build your trust stack. Create a bit of a presence. Clear messaging. You don't need an office. Just be present. US relevant proof, and if you don't have it, it's you, as I've discussed. Get local advisors, and not the $20,000 an hour guru that's going to come and tell you how to plant your flag in the US. I used them. They weren't useful to me because they give me generic advice. Pick somebody that's willing to be in the trenches with you. Somebody that's willing to meet with you. Somebody that's willing to sit in meetings with you and use their experience to help you out, because each of your cases will be different to what a guru is telling you. You can read about the guru and Claude. But if you're not deliberate, if you're not intent on having somebody with you that's willing to listen and help you with the subtleties of your process in the US, pick a different partner. They exist. You want to find them, and they would be glad to help you if you find them. Paying it forward is a big thing in the US. And once you've paid your dues, you can call on people to help you, the pay it forward mechanism. And then run a 90-day sprint after you've done that hard work. A very aggressive, in your own mind, not in the outside world, a very aggressive sprint. Get buyer conversations, do objection testing. More importantly, getting a willingness to pay validation, right? So if your product sells for £20,000 in the UK, it doesn't mean it's going to sell for $25,000 in the US. You have to figure out what the willingness to pay mechanism is. And people will discount the willingness to pay based on your immaturity, the risk they're taking, etc. And that's totally fine. And that's a total different discipline we have to go through. We never discount our work. We will give them the benefit of being an early adopter, but it won't form part of a discount. We will say something like, my product is $20,000 and it's worth every penny. You're asking me for something less. That's fine. I can work with you and give it to you for $10,000. In the first year, if you sign a 3-year deal where we escalate to $20,000 in year 2 and year 3, when I prove to you this works, that is the conversation. But if you discount yourself out of the gate without terms and conditions, they won't take you serious. And the fear that they walk away from the table, let them. Because you need to learn, if they walk away, your value is not good enough yet. And that's the kind of conversations we want to have, because we want to understand, why are people ghosting you? Why are they just walking away from you? Because you haven't set them up to negotiate with you in good faith. That is a big discipline that when we come from South Africa, I'm not saying you are the same, but when I came here, I had to learn that you have the right to sit at the table and negotiate hard, because what you are bringing to the table is super valuable. You're not going to go, oh, I'll give it to you for free if only you use it for 3 months. There's no point. You've got a business to build. They have a business to run. There needs to be mutual respect there. And then I get a lot of questions about, why don't I just put boots on the ground? You can do that. I hate the term boots on the ground because it's got a military connection. So I'll move away from that term and talk about, what does your presence look like in the US? And absolutely, you can build a US sales team. Absolutely, you can find a VP that has a Rolodex. You can do all those things. But remember, those specialists, and they are sales specialists, VPs of sales, sales managers, they're specialists. But what they train to do from birth, literally, from university, is to follow a recipe. And they do it well. We've got serial scalers in my network. I mean, these people scale things from $1 million to $100 million in 3 years. They are that good. But the thing they need to scale it is the recipe. How do you scale this thing? Why does your clients buy? What is the message? What does the battle card look like? What does the objection list look like? If you have those things, scale your team. In order to get those things, that's you and your founding team. And you need to figure that out, because if you let the salespeople loose, they will sell anything to anybody. And you may be lucky and be successful, but you also may have to pull back so many things because they sell unprofitable deals. GP margins. What is your objective about your GP margin? If you come to the US and you ever want to exit, it has to be more than 75%. How do you build your revenue model to have a GP margin of 75% out of the gate? Those things matter, because if you start selling at 20% GP and you want to bring them into 75% 3 years down the road, when you want to get a founder, it's painful. You want to consider those things right out of the gate. So select your team. There's many ways you can select a team. You can select a scaling team. You can select a founding team. You can select people on the ground with you. Find them and be very, very selective around how you pick them. Don't just listen to the first guy that comes around. Don't just listen to me. I'm probably not the first guy that comes around, right? But explore it. Have your vision and your mission clear and make people explain to you how they will help you with that vision and mission. And maybe it's just for 3 months. Maybe it's just for 6 months. Maybe it's for 12 months. What does the fees look like? You want to figure that out because you want to do the internal calculus to say, if I pay somebody $1, do they save me $2 in mistakes, in time, in advice, etc., etc. And also long-term contracts, they don't work because as a founder in a startup, your business moves so quickly. You want to be able to get out of things pretty quickly. The typical thing that people also do is they come to the US and they found an outsource SDR team. There's many companies here. They promise you, right? You've seen it. I'll give you somebody that calls exclusively for you and set up 20 meetings a week, right? But you have to sign a 6-month contract or a 9-month contract. No, because in order to train them to set up the meetings for you, you need to know what they need to say. You need to know why people sell from you. That is not your first step. If you have that message, I can help you find these outsourced people or build your own team or use an AI tool. But until you have the message, don't get an outsourced SDR team. They have a space in your revenue journey in the US. Some food for thought. It's pretty much a summary here. Be in country, and I put it in floating quotes. I don't expect founders to be as crazy as I was to uplift everything I knew at the young age of 44 and come to a new country. It's tough. It's really tough. But if you're serious about the US, then you have to do something like that. You have to come and work here for a month or 2 months at a time. Find a cheap B&B or find a friend, stay with them. Doesn't have to cost you a fortune. But you want to get the energy, the rhythm. You don't want to outsource that learning to somebody that doesn't understand who you are, doesn't understand the motivations, and doesn't understand the hardship that you have gone through to get where you are. That deserves respect. And any partner you pick must have that respect for you. It is critical that you have an equal peer relationship with your partners in the US. It can't be, I'm this guru, I founded 17 companies, and I'm a billionaire. By the way, a billionaire is the worst partner you can have early on because they're rich. They're not hungry. You want to partner with people that's hungry, that's willing to help you. Your billionaire partners can come when you do your exits, but surround yourself with people like you, that you like, that you can have a debate with, that you can fight with, that cares about what the next step of your founding team, of your mission is, and is willing to celebrate those successes with you. Boy, it's a lonely journey. That's all right, Daniel, all good. Have patience. Patience doesn't mean being passive or apathetic, just have patience. If you mail somebody today and they don't respond immediately, that's totally fine. Just understand how you measure it. But that's where data science comes in when you do your sales revenue machine, right? You have to be able to track the signals from the market. The conversation of, oh, they ghosted me, is too late. I don't know about you sales experts in the room, but I have run many, many campaigns with quote unquote, how do we warm up ghosted conversations? It doesn't work. You lost them. Now, at best, you can find out why you lost them, but you have to set yourself up to never be ghosted. And that's a discipline. It's not passive, it's active in the commitments, in the value you give, etc., etc. You will get ghosted. That happens to all of us. This is a contact sport, but we want to reduce that as much as we can. Beachhead sequencing matters. Start with a segment, one problem, scale from there. And by the way, non-market context matters. As much as we want to, people in the US have an opinion about other territories in the world. And unlike what you hear on CNN or Fox News or Sky News or wherever you get your news from, Americans doesn't think they're better than the rest of the world. There may be some of them that do, but generally they don't care. Generally they're busy with building their own life, doing what's right, working with people. If you have contracts, if you have real contracts with American companies, they stick. Companies I signed in 2016 is still with JourneyApps today. They stick if you do it the right way. So, but understand who that is and understand that they will have an opinion about you when you say you're from South Africa. Not a bad opinion, not a good opinion. They will have an opinion. And therefore, don't shy away from it. Embrace it, embrace your identity, and embrace your product's identity, and stand up with pride that what you are bringing is adding value to other people. And here's the reason why it's adding value to people in the US. Be a little confident. Now, I know English-speaking South Africans generally don't have this problem. But me, being an Afrikaans boytjie, I was taught, and when I grew up, you sit in the corner, you keep quiet, and we'll speak to you when you speak to me when you're spoken to. That ingrained subservience needs to go away when you come to the US. I'm not saying be arrogant, but offer what you have with pride, with clarity, and be deliberate about it. And people will respect you for it, and they will talk to you about it. It's just something I'm projecting from my own journey, coming from South Africa to the US, and how I had to overcome that. Because it was easy for me originally to say, oh, you're better than me, so maybe I should give you a discount on my product. No, it's not how the country expects you to work. And that's my story, everybody. I may have sounded preachy, and I apologize for that. It's not preachy, it's just me being passionate, very, very passionate about the subject. This country will reward you handsomely if you do it the right way. But if you're going to explore it casually, you're going to get casual results. If that's what you're after, that's great. But why go through something as important and life-changing for you as this is for your business and not be deliberate and explicit about it? Why not pick the right partners carefully? Why not surround yourself? Every startup in the US has got an advisory board, by the way. The concept of an advisory board is that they've invited people into their world that can actually help them on the ground. The word advisory is kind of an oxymoron because people don't just give advice, they help, they introduce, etc. That you don't pay them anything. People love to be on advisory boards because that's the way that they pay it forward. And so think about your own little circle. You don't need an advisory board to start with, but how do you create that circle? Make it deliberate. Make it trusted, so you don't have to figure this out by yourself. There's many people that will help you. So think about those things. And again, I don't know everything, not by any stretch of the imagination. I'm super passionate about building businesses, so much so that I'm building two at the same time, which I'll probably come to regret. But if I can help you in any small way, just have a conversation or just compare a few notes, or as I said, you tell me how wrong I am and you have a different recipe, I want to hear that too. Please reach out, let's have a conversation. It costs you nothing. And maybe I can add value to you, but maybe I can't. Maybe I can introduce you to somebody that can. And I'm very willing to do that as well. So that is my entire story. I know I speak a lot, but I will keep quiet now. If there's any specific question that comes up, booze or okay, or any questions you want to put in the chat, please do. We have a bit more time, but you can also feel free to leave. Ewan, that's me. And yeah, I'll keep quiet and wait for anybody that has questions or comments.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. That was super interesting. I see JP has a question.
Sure. Thank you very much, Ivan, and nice to meet you guys.
Hey, JP.
It's pretty brief. It's a comment, and then I would love to take you up on your offer to just talk generally. I don't want to get into specifics here. It's not necessarily the right place, but just wanted to reiterate a point that you made. The Americans love, I'm going to call them clubs or societies or groups from high school all the way through to retired people. Think more than a Rotary Club or a Lions Club or that type of stuff, but those type of opportunities exist in even small little backwater towns. And there's a very powerful network there. So they really been able to tap into that in your specific market or jurisdiction, and that is a key tool that we've been able to kind of leverage and use. So just reiterating the point that there definitely is an ecosystem that you can quite easily tap into, and I'll generalize here. Americans are, people heard them talk and that type of stuff, but they're always happy to engage, right? So I was just making that point or comment.
Yeah, it's great that you had the same experience, JP. And again, the only caveat I put on top of that, because I've also originally I'm so happy just to speak to anybody that wants to speak to me, and maybe that is the way that you want to understand it, but be very specific around why are you engaging in this conversation and why are you giving your time away? Because as founders, time is your biggest commodity. And now with all the AI and all this kind of craziness, it's a race. So you want to be spending your time on the right things that can set you up for success. But I wholeheartedly agree with you that the networks exist. And sometimes we think of those as negative connotations, right? Is this the Broederbond or the Illuminati or whatever? It's really not. It's just a group of people that came together and said, together we better than one, and if somebody needs something, we will help somebody else to do it, and they do it business leaders in this country do it very easily and very often. So yeah, I agree with you, JP. Thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. Any other questions we have? Any thoughts? Any comments? Georgia?
Yes.
You put your hand
Good
up?
afternoon. Yes.
Hey, Georgia.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you.
So I'm partly with the LAC Network, but I'm also currently just a PhD student as Afrikaans, even though my name and my surname is English. But I just have a question in general. If you could have gone in your 20s, would you have done that, or would you have taken the learning curve in South Africa and then just basically took the route that you did take?
I did go in my 20s. I didn't immigrate, but let me answer your question and then I'll tell you a quick story. I don't know what the right time for you is. And it's impossible for me to make that recommendation or to have too strong an opinion about it. But I can share some stories with you and hopefully that'll help you. I'm currently working with a founder out of South Africa. She is also just done being a student. And she actually right now, and I can only comment on a meta level, she's fighting the concepts of to be taken seriously. Mm-hmm. She's fighting the concepts of having peer-to-peer conversations with people that's older than she is. The whole male hierarchy in certain industries, and people with gray hair think they're cleverer than everybody else, right? So what I'm helping her with is to how do you navigate that road and be taken seriously when you're 24 years old? How do you use your language? How do you use your conversation? And what kind of partners do you need around you to make this a success? I can tell you this, if I was going to come here earlier or do it again, I would surround myself with more people that's done it before. It is unnecessary to learn all these things the hard way like I did. And so I hope that helps you. The other story I want to tell you is I studied to be an architect and I practiced in Somerset West. So I designed high-rise buildings and assisted living spaces for old age people. Now in those days, I am old. We designed our buildings on, I always tell people in technology, 21 286 PCs with 4 megabytes of RAM. We connected them all and did our fly-throughs and animations. Now, for the younger people, you probably don't even know what a 286 AT-PC is, but I'll give you an indication. It was Windows 3.1. So, but the short story is we presented the work that we did to a company in Philadelphia, in Bentley Systems out of America. And long story short, they offered me a job. So I changed my career totally. They subsequently sent me to the IBM boot camps in Boston to relearn everything about business and sales. In those days, it was the thing to do. It's not anymore. But to answer your question more specifically, but still staying generic, would I have done it if I had the opportunity in my early 20s? Probably. Would I have had the experience that I have now? No. Would I have had to surround myself with people that I can trust that have it? Yes. But also coming to the US was a very specific moment in time for us. I didn't leave South Africa because I was unhappy with South Africa. I have one son, he's now 16, he's in the schooling system here, and he's doing really well. So for me, coming here was not about South Africa. It was about what difference can I make, my personal motivation, because I reached the glass ceiling. Not South Africa's bad. I just reached a personal glass ceiling. And I knew I wanted to break through it, and this was my opportunity to do it. I was also not going to not come with a company that pays for my green card applications and my immigration and bring all my furniture to the US, because those things cost a fortune, but the circumstances was right for me. So I apologize that it's a little bit flaky, the answer, but that's the best version I can come up with you, Georgia.
No, that's perfect. That was very insightful. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Yeah. 10 more minutes. We can also end early and give people time back. Any last questions, or can we adjourn? All right. Well, I think that's my cue. Everybody, I really hope you heard something useful. If you didn't, please send me an invoice for your hour. If it was utterly useless to you, I'll happily pay you. But also, hop on a call with me. I so want to hear from you, and the kind of things that you do, because I learn too, which is very, very important. I'm doing my own customer development and finding how I can help people. But thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time today, discussing this super important topic that we all deal with. And I hope to have conversations with all of you. And whatever you decide to do, be strong, stand up straight. We have been taught in our country that if you work hard, you can achieve things, and this country still embraces that. So you have every chance of success. So all the best on your ventures. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Go well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Gus.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Cheers, Curtis.
Cheers, Johan. Bye.